Welcome to the Inquiry 2.0. Today, I'm going to set the record straight and bring some clarification into play in regard to the rumour and story which we covered that Pat Tate had his jaw snapped, smashed, however you want to put it, by Roy Shaw. We looked at the rumour, we analysed it, we said the dates don't look quite right. Pat Tate was only out for a certain amount of time of jail before he died, and Roy Shaw would come out and, had their paths met. We were dubious about it. However, in Danny Woolard's book, he claimed that the Roy Shaw punching Pat Tate did happen. Now, Danny Woolard also stated in the book that Peter De Freitas, the manager of Nigel Benn, and also a serious character himself at that time, himself and his brothers, was said to have set about Tony Tucker. This is what Danny Woolard said in the book. Now, I reached out to Peter De Freitas. He didn't get back to me. And then the following week, he was on a podcast with Liam Galvin. I'll leave a link in the description to the podcast, where he has clarified that it did not happen. He didn't set about Tony Tucker. Tony Tucker had no interest in managing or being part of the management team of Nigel Benn. He was just a friend. They were just close mates, and he invited him along to certain things and training and what have you. So he doesn't understand where the rumour came from. I let him know that the rumour had come from Danny Woolard's book, Wildcats. So that wasn't true. And I've subsequently done investigation. I've asked people, had a good chat with someone who's in the know last night, who ran a lot of the doors around that time, who knew Tucker, who knew a lot of the crime families, etc. He'd never heard of that and thought it was very unlikely, just because of the timeline of when he came out of prison, Pat Tate and Roy Shaw coming out of prison, and he just didn't think the paths would have met in that way. However, he did say to me, though, that Pat Tate's jaw did get broken, and that is why there's probably some confusion, and maybe just someone put Roy Shaw in the mix, not really knowing who'd done it. And I'd heard this rumour some time ago as well, and this was from the person who allegedly broke Pat Tate's jaw is a guy called Michael McCarthy. Now, from what I'm told, he was a serious, hard guy around Essex at that point in time. Now, he worked the doors, I believe, and he may have had some interest with travellers, etc. And I know Pat Tate did through his car dealings. Now, apparently, they've had a clash, they've had a fallout of some kind, both big, imposing, physically capable men. Pat Tate's come off worse, and apparently he had a fracture or a break to his jaw, and he was basically put out of the picture on that occasion. But this was some time before he'd met Tucker and all that kind of thing. So this would have been previous to all the films and everything else that had been made about him. If you look back at his history, Pat Tate, he was actually married before to someone else. He'd had a life prior to this. He was involved in, allegedly, or the police suggest that he was involved in different armed robberies and different things that they suspected him of, and that he was a career criminal. But it wasn't Roy Shaw who broke his jaw. It was this guy, Michael McCarthy. Now, Michael McCarthy, in 1994, so a year before Pat Tate was murdered, he got shot in the head. A guy walked up to him in the cafe when he was with his family, shot him in, the words were exchanged, shot him in the head, and he survived it. Being the tough, strong man that he is, he survived it. However, he was left with life-changing injuries. But it's not thought that this was anything to do with the Pat Tate incident. That was way before that happened. This was something completely separate and a sort of personal matter. But we do put people up on pedestals, especially in the true crime sector. Just because someone loses a fight, or there's one incident where someone gets beaten, it doesn't mean that they weren't tough guys, or they weren't capable, or he wasn't a force. Dave Courtney says that he was a one-man army. It doesn't mean that he wasn't a tough man just because he got beaten on one occasion. There was loads of tough men around Essex, London, across the UK, that none of us know of. So we're only really commenting on these people that are in the public eye. So I just wanted to clear that one up. Just to clarify, Peter De Freitas did not set about Tony Tucker, doesn't know where the story came from, nothing to do with him. And the Pat Tate, Roy Shaw didn't until break his jaw. It was this Michael McCarthy. And this was years before he'd met Tucker, and he went through that short 6-month madness period where him and Tucker were running wild. Okay, guys, I hope that sets the record straight, and we'll get a new documentary uploaded tomorrow, hopefully. Either tomorrow or Wednesday.